Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of Bogey Proof, a little WGC Bracketology. We got Matt, Joey, and Mike on the line, and we'll be feeding in Eric's picks. He couldn't make it tonight, but we'll be getting his insight. Mr. Fontaine, what are you sipping on tonight?
Tonight I come to you with a Paloma. We got our cocktail of the week this week for Bogey Proof, and I just filmed the video, so I'm gonna enjoy this cocktail I just made. Joey, what do you got?
Boys, curveball. Ready for this? Didn't see this one coming. We got a little Basil Hayden bourbon tonight.
Whoa, settle down.
From the top rope. Yeah, changing it up for you guys tonight. Throwing you in, keep a head on a swivel. Mikey, what do you got?
Wow, that is, Joey, not what I expected from you, but we appreciate that. I am going out of the box as well. I went with it's a blueberry infused vodka from Triple Eight Distillery in Nantucket. And I put some ginger beer in there, a little bogey proof staple stir with the finger. That's all you need. Lots of ice, keep it nice and cold. And it's an absolutely tremendous kind of summer drink. I know it's not quite April here, and it's a little chilly here in Chicago, but after being in Texas and on my way to Pinehurst here soon, it just feels like spring. It feels like summer. We're ready to have ourselves one. But Matt, kick us off and give us a little insight kind of on what's going on with the WGC this week, and what's kind of the unique aspects of match play that are different from the week in and week out stroke play events on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, so WGC match play, right? WGC, always more money, all the big names come out and whatnot. And, it's fun to just take a break from the 72-hole stroke play grind these guys all play. I'm sure they appreciate it too, to be honest, just to break up the schedule a little bit. But match play is a different animal. I mean, you're able to it's just a whole new ball game. I mean, risk reward, you think about it a lot more because, these guys as professionals, like, if they finish T4 or T15, like that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So they probably always err on the side of caution unless they have a chance to legitimately win a golf tournament. Where now, I mean, every hole matters, and every hole also, like after that hole, it's completely gone. It's in the past. You're not carrying over your double bogey. Like you make your double, you move on, you only lose one hole. So a lot more risk reward thought, right? I mean, if I don't know, if the 4 doesn't matter or the 5 doesn't matter, you're going to try something crazy to make sure you make a 2 or a 3. Like it's just a whole different animal match play. And I think it's fun to watch. I personally think it's the most fun way to play golf, whether it's 4 balls or, club championships, when it's one-on-one match play, that kind of stuff. I have a ton of fun with that. And I think it brings the best out in people because they stop thinking about a total number or the final number, or like, oh man, I shot 39 on the front. Like I got to try and, make sure I don't make too many bogeys on the back and try and get that back. It's like, no, like it's literally the best way to get your mind in the one shot at a time, one hole at a time mindset, I think. And usually brings the best out of players. So it's interesting. And I think honestly, getting back to like, taking a break from the 72-hole grind, I think the PGA Tour, and that's why people love the Ryder Cup too, right? Like the match play kind of aspect. I think PGA Tour needs to, and I mean, this has been talked about millions of times, but like just do more of this stuff. I mean, when you have opposite field events, like for like the Barracuda and like all those random things, when there's a WGC going on, that's a stroke play event, make it a match play and just go by official world golf rankings of the field. And you just mix it up. I'm sure the players would appreciate a break. I mean, 72-hole stroke play events are a grind. I played in 36-hole ones in college, and like I don't know, there's times where I didn't even want to play because it's just like too much. Like it's a lot. So I think excited for this week. Obviously, almost all the guys are playing except for Koepka with the late breaking. I guess he had surgery again this week or last week, whatever it was. So that kind of sucks because he seemed like he was kind of finally turning it around. But other than that, a lot of the big hitters in here, as a WGC usually provides, and looking forward to some match play this week. Joey, you got anything?
No, I agree with that. I'm on that same boat. I think there should be a few more match play events. It's just it's a different style of golf, and it's just like you were saying, it's a different mentality when it comes to certain holes. So I wish there's more events like this out there on tour, and maybe going forward they will. I don't know how they would. I mean, I don't want to say a major championship that's like a match play, but like you said, like you got the Ryder Cup, it brings so much attention to the game, and I feel like another big event that was match play, I think would make it a lot more enjoyable. And it and I don't know. It's just a different competitive aspect from the same sport, if that makes any sense. It's just it's just
Totally agree.
yeah.
It goes from like you're always right. They always teach you when you're like coming up and starting to play competitive golf. It's you versus par, you versus yourself, you versus the golf course. Like no, now it's like literally you against the guy teeing it up
it's
across from you.
more
Like there's no fancy way to get around that. Like it's you against that guy. So it definitely brings out a little bit. And I think the players recognize that, and you get a little more emotion, more reaction out of them.
Yeah.
When they make an 8-footer for par to have the hole, they might fist pump that when in, if it's, hole 13 of a 70-hole week, like, yeah, they want to make that putt, but, it's just, they don't want to get ahead of themselves. It's early, they're not going to do stuff like that. Where, when it's in a match, like that shit matters. It's one whole hole. Like, so, and these guys are all so good. Like, you got to do some crazy shit to like really pull too far away in these matches, whether it's more than one or two up, or like the other guy just has to have a couple weird holes that normally don't happen. So it's like every hole really matters with these guys because that line is so thin. Like they're each gonna make 4 or 5 birdies around, like, so it's not like you just say, okay, if I go shoot 4 under, I'll be fine. Like that's not how match play is gonna work. So I think like you just get more emotion out of these guys, more reaction. Everybody loves to watch that shit. That's why, like I was saying a couple weeks ago or last week, like I love JT because he seems to bring that every time he's in contention.
Exactly.
Whereas like most guys don't normally bring that, but this week brings it out of a few more. So just looking forward to it. I mean, it brings in a lot of different winners too. I mean, Kevin Kisner won this last time. It was, fully played and completed. And like, yes, he's a solid player, always super solid, but like not known for, winning majors and stuff like that. But like get him in that match play thing. It can happen, like, and he, I think he was in the finals the year before he won too. So it's like, he's, built for this, whether it's the competitive mano-a-mano, he puts the shit out of the ball, which is probably really hard to like play against. Like, yeah, the second you get you think you got the door open, he snakes in a 12-footer for par, and it's like, ho-hum, another par, like have the hole, move on when you played it perfectly and missed 15 feet for birdie. Like that kind of shit changes in match play where it's like in stroke play, whatever. So, like you're focused on your game. You don't really care about that. That's just demoralizing when it's match play. So, I don't know. A lot of different winners come out of this. I mean, Rory's won, whatever, a lot of big names have won, but also a lot of guys that, what is it, Victor Dubuisson won back in like 2007 or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Who's heard of him since then?
Shout out to the goatee that guy used to have. That was heck of flow, just tremendous flow, and then the solid goatee. He looked like he was 35. He was like 23 when he was playing some really good golf. I think that was in Arizona, and I think Day might have won that year, but lost in the final to Jason Day, and kind of fell off the earth, after playing decent in like some major championships right after that, but. I want to just, before we kind of move on to some kind of like our favorite moments, both on tour and, kind of in our own personal experience in match play. I think the tour actually got one right here. Austin Country Club, as far as a venue for the match play, is spectacular. We have ridiculous elevation changes that lead to like 400-yard drives. We have drivable par fours, multiple. I mean, the first hole, the 18th hole, there's one on the back 9 with water, gettable par 5s, short par 3s, just such an unbelievable variety of holes and a cool venue as far as like just with the elevation changes. It kind of lends itself to some fun spectating kind of perches out there as well, right on the Colorado River, just outside downtown Austin. So a great venue and kind of a unique place that probably would struggle at a stroke play venue just because depending on the conditions probably would tear it up, or if they got a little funky with the holes, people would probably be complaining out there. But when it comes to match play, that's not something that really happens. You don't really hear players criticize the golf course or the setup when it comes to match play because more things are on the table, right? Like JT doesn't care if it's playing crazy hard, or we have 5 straight pins that are almost impossible to get at because, right, that's just like match plays in itself. And, maybe having 8 feet for par is great on that hole. And in stroke play, you might be pissed off because like, there's no way I can make a birdie there. Yeah. But in match play, 4 might get it done, and you might win the hole. So it lends itself to kind of some fun and unique aspects that we don't get to see every single week on the PGA Tour. But Matt, you kind of spoke a little bit about four balls and and a couple other things kind of in your own personal game and why you like match play so much. Can you kind of just give us some insight or, maybe one or two times where really, match play allowed for kind of a great afternoon or, just a fun weekend on the golf course?
Yeah, I mean, pretty well documented at this point. I think if you've been listening for a little while, that like that's my summer tournament schedule is just whenever the four balls come up. That's kind of where I live, and I try and mix in a club championship as well, which is a little bit of a hybrid. You get some stroke play to kind of qualify usually, and then you kind of bracket off and go match play. But yeah, match play is just, I don't know, for whatever reason it brings the best out of me. Like I've played, Franconia golf course, public course back home. Like I played that place a million times. In both stroke play events, whether it's in college or just, tournaments and whatever. And then also playing it in match play events in the four ball they host there at the Bon Tempo every year. And like, for whatever reason, when I play in that Bon Tempo, it's like not every year, obviously, but there's some of my best golf memories are from that Bon Tempo. Like some of my best golf, I made 7 birdies in a row there one year. Like, I don't know where the hell that came from. I could never do that in a stroke play event. Like, there's just no way that's happening. Like, stuff like that, that for whatever reason in match play, it might just be a me thing, maybe, I don't know. But like something just like makes you literally be so focused on just the hole in front of you and nothing else, because that's like, you're playing for that point on that hole. And like, you don't care if you make a 7 because you just lose one hole. You don't lose 4 strokes to them if they make a birdie, right? Like, there's something about it that just totally changes my mindset. And I just love match play. I mean, when it comes to playing it, obviously, like I said, like four balls, I have a bunch of fun with those and brings the best out of me personally. And then like watching them, I mean, you just love to see like I don't know, like the one-on-one, like especially when it's on the tour level, right? Like back in the day, at least, maybe not as much now, but like you used to get a little jibber jabbering back and forth, as they see the brackets come out and whatnot, and talk about matchups and whatever else. And like, obviously this is kind of beating a dead horse, but like the historic Stephen Ames and Tiger Woods thing, like he makes the comment earlier in the week, like, yeah, like it's obviously tough matchup playing Tiger out of the gate, but anything can happen the way he's hitting the ball lately. And Tiger goes out and shoots like 6 under and 10 holes and beats him 9 and 8. And he's like, all right, see you, buddy. Like next, like that's the kind of stuff that you only get in match play. Like if they do that in like in a stroke play event, even in the same banter and the same scores, right? Like, nobody really cares. It's like, oh, well, like he had a bad day and Tiger had a good day. Who cares? But like the fact that it's match play just makes it so much more personal. And like, I don't know, that just gets the juices flowing a little different for me. I have like, whenever I can, like, I try to do four ball-esque matches when I'm playing on the weekends with my friends and stuff like that. Like, I'm a big match play guy. I think it's just more fun. Stroke play, like, obviously that's the truest, most fair, complete test that golf has to offer. But I just think it's, from a competitive standpoint, a lot more fun to be able to clean the slate every hole and then, like, re-go at the guy, right? Like, if you get off to a bad start stroke play, you make a couple doubles, or like you bogey the first 4 and the other guy plays even, it's like, well, all right, I got to do something crazy now to make up for that. Where it's like, if you only lost 1 or 2 of those holes in match play, it's like, all right, you're fine. It's like, I don't know, something about it it just resonates with me, and I play match play as much as I can.
Matt, I think something to kind of bring up too is kind of how wide the spectrum of, like, anybody can play match play, right? Like they play match play at the U.S. Amateur, the top 312 AMs in the entire world. They play stroke play to get in the top 64, and then they do a match play bracket. We also play, like when I was down in San Antonio, that's what we played. We played match play, right? And that's playing with guys that are 15, 20 handicaps. So the spectrum of players and the abilities of those going out there is so much wider in match play because, right, like as a scratch, if I'm playing a 20 handicap in stroke play, even if I'm giving them 20 shots, like I'm probably going to beat them almost every single time because there's going to be a blow up hole or something like that. But match play, we can have a great match given a shot a hole. And, when someone makes a par or, is grinding, making bogeys with shots or whatever the case may be, like that just lends itself to a lot of fun. And I think it just limits the pressure too on someone who's kind of just beginning out in the game of golf or really hasn't found their stride to become a great player yet. Kind of allows, people to hang around and compete with people from all different abilities too. So I think for anybody kind of just starting in the game, match play with your buddies, whether, they're the same skill level or completely different than you, like it's a game that everybody can play and you can have, it can be super competitive. So I think I would kind of promote match play as something that people should be going out there and playing in their weekend games or 9-hole money matches or whatever the case may be. Like match play is a go-to. And I would say really stroke play should be pretty far down that list as far as games that you should be playing in those scenarios. So match play is a great thing. And Joe, what do you guys do at the club? Kind of, let us in kind of from a PGA perspective of, are you guys doing match play tournaments at the club? Are your 9-hole, leagues or anything like that? Are they match play? What are you guys up to?
Yeah. So down here in Florida, we usually do like, it's called like a season-long match play. And, if you want to get into it, you sign up. And we kind of go ahead, seed everybody by handicaps, set up the bracket. And, they're responsible for kind of scheduling their own matches. And then, we get the scorecards ready. They play their match, get the results back to us, so on and so forth. But, honestly, I don't even think we did that this year. Now that I think about it, down in Florida, that is. Now up north in New Hampshire, we kind of do the same thing as far as that goes. That's our, our match play championship. Once again, it's not the biggest field, and we flight it in so many different ways because there's just so many different age groups, and it's, it's the most fair way to do it. I mean, literally one flight was 2 guys and they're in the championship, like automatically, like honestly, what's the point in that? But I mean, the point is to get some participation at a very, small club, membership club. So that would be the extent of like that. But then in our, in our 9-hole league, our men's Thursday night Twilight League, excuse me, it's the same thing, 9-hole matches. So what we do, it's 2-man teams. So you have a better ball of partners match against the opposing team. And then player, you split up the teams in A players, B players. So there's 3 matches going on within one, 9 holes. So like I just said, it's better ball of partners. And you got player A versus player A, then player B versus player B. So that's actually something that, I basically, I run all of that in the Twilight League. And that's something that's went over really well. And it's been really fun. And actually this past year, I got to participate in it. I was partnered up with, another member of mine at the club. And then him and I ended up actually going to the championship when we faced the head professional and his partner. And of course we lost. And, the head professional, dude, I will say it was the first time I was getting strokes, right? But I was only getting 2 shots. And the thing is, the guy I was playing, Brad, you guys met him. Dude's just a player, and even when you're getting shots, it's hard to beat good golf. And, I wasn't playing my best that day, but I will say in my semifinal match to get us into the championship, obviously it came down to the last hole and I needed to make birdie to send us to the championship. And I did make that putt. So I wanted that on the record.
That's what we need.
I wanted that. And it was against our golf committee chair. So,
oh, nice.
A little bit better for that, but, hopefully this year I can redeem myself and make my way back into that championship, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I mean, that's really the extent of my experience with match play in the, the golf business side of it. I want to try to get more involvement with that type of format, but it's a little bit different with, a membership rather than highly skilled golfers, I would say. Yeah. I mean, I get your giving each other handicaps and strokes and you're evening the playing field, but I just don't think some of those higher handicaps get that competitive edge as a more serious player may get. So, yeah. Hopefully going forward, we'll get a few younger members and, more serious members who can play a little bit better, especially with our older members who can play very well, and we can get something interesting going. But for now, I think we're going to have to just ride with what we have happening for now.
Yeah, it's definitely tougher with memberships. Like the reason that makes that Bontempo floorball so great is it's open, so you get all the best players in the area go to play because it's like it's an open thing. It's you don't have to be a member at the place or whatever. It's not, they don't whack you too much on like the cost of it or anything like that. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of known for having very good, like, competitive, and they keep the top 2 divisions without the strokes. And then the rest of it, it's all, you qualify, you go shoot a number, and then you get flighted based on that. So they do a good job with it. And I think that's definitely kind of part of what you're getting. It's just tough with members because you're limited to your membership. It's like, how much can you set up a field here that's actually going to be fun and, even and et cetera. So,
I mean, our our member guests, for that matter, I mean, we do, obviously it's match play for that as well. So there's other events that we have that are a few match plays, but not to the extent that I may like, but you got to please the members.
yeah, they pay the salary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, but match play is a lot of fun, and looking forward to the WGC this week in Austin. Great town too. I think it's tough having limited members there. I think this would be a great location for a bogey-proof staff retreat to attend a little WGC match play one year and kind of get out there. We were lucky enough to spend a Saturday in Austin when we were down in Texas and had some fun on Raging Street and exploring some of the surrounding areas. For those that watch the tournament this week, it's kind of the elevation changes and kind of the surrounding area is almost like Hollywood Hills vibes, I would say. It's a unique area and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, looking forward to watching. As far as we're listening to this podcast will be on Spotify and Apple Music, but we're also on a bunch of different platforms. So, I know a lot of you guys follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, both, just Bogey Proof tweets specifically on Twitter. So Matt's been in the Twitter trenches lately, responding to a bunch of messages. And if you have any comments, slide into our DMs on Twitter and Instagram. Also, bogeyproofblog.com. I'm hoping, kind of as the season kicks off more, that we're going to be doing some more write-ups and a couple things. I know, the creative juices start flowing around Augusta in April. So I think we're going to have some fun editorials and kind of some more insight on golf moving forward. But let's break down the bracket, little bracketology. I know a lot of people filled out brackets for the NCAA March Madness, but here at Bogey Proof, we deal with golf. So let's dive in. I'm pulling up the bracket here, my own bracket, which is most likely going to win. But we're doing a bracket challenge on PGA Tour, and I know we got about 15, 20 people in there, and doing a promo here with a free box of golf ball, a free dozen golf balls for the person that wins this bracket challenge. So likely this challenge will kind of be closed off by the time this podcast airs on Wednesday. But nonetheless, let's roll through some of these groupings. First one, starting with the number 1 overall seed, Dustin Johnson playing with Kevin Na, Robert McIntyre, and Adam Long. Mr. Fontaine, what's kind of your insight on this grouping, and who do you have coming out of it?
Yeah, so this one, I mean, kind of makes sense. DJ being one in the world, right there, he's going to get the lower end of the other side of it, but really just can't find any way that DJ doesn't advance without just having some kind of, just completely kind of shit in the bed for the next 2 days. So I would think DJ is going to be the can't see anybody like realistically making a case for DJ not winning. Kevin now is a great player, but lately he hasn't. Yeah, I think he's been WD in the last few weeks. So not going to expect too much out of him this week. And, Adam Long and Rob McIntyre they just don't have the game to stick with him for an 18-hole match. Probably keep it interesting in the front 9, but eventually, they're going to make some bogeys or he's just going to make too many birdies that they can't keep up with, and they press a little bit. Next thing you know, I just think DJ is going to walk with that one, and looks like based on Eric's text that he's got DJ winning that group as well. Joey, what do you think?
Same. Let's move on to the next group.
Yeah, let's move on. I got Dustin
no
Johnson
discussion.
I think it's important to note too for the listeners out there, they've kind of changed the style of this the last, I think it's probably been almost 10 years now, or like maybe 6 or 7 years, but they moved to more of like a World Cup, kind of pod system with this. So all 4 players there'll be 3 matches within each grouping to start. And then the best overall, record within those three matchups, and then the tiebreaker is the head-to-head matchup there. So, most likely you have a better chance of having the best player within that, kind of four-person pod come out just from the nature of, even if they have a bad day, like God forbid, if Dustin Johnson comes out and plays bad, one day, he's probably going to come back and play great the next 2 days and be 2-1. And the only way he loses is if the person that he lost to, happens to have beaten him on that tough day. So likely we're going to get the best, a good crop of the best 16 players kind of to move on to that quarterfinals round. But next grouping, Joey's guy, Sungjae Im.
Who do you think who do you think I'm picking from this group?
Let me just give the four people first. We got Sungjae Im, Victor Perez, a guy in the European tour that's been really strong and played really well with the players after making the cut on the number. Mark Leishman, an Australian guy who's had some good success in match play, and Russell Henley, guy that can go low. So Joey, are you going with your guy? Or are you rolling with?
No, I am. I mean, it was a tough pick, but at the end of the day, I mean, what kind of Sungjae fan am I if I don't ride with my guy? At the end of the day, you gotta ride with your guy. But I was on the fence between him and Leishman, because I know Leash, he can feel like he can battle when it comes to this format as well. He's a tough player, can kind of just grind it out. And yeah, I mean, you made some other good points about the other two players, but with me not knowing as much about them, I'm gonna more so still lean towards the guys that I know more about. And at the end of the day, like I said, I had to go with my guy Sungjae, obviously. What about you boys? Who you got?
Yeah, I like Eric and I are actually both going with Victor Perez, Frenchman who's quickly ascended to a top 35 player in the world right now. I think he's probably 33 or 34 at the time of this World Golf ranking, and a guy that's going to be on the Ryder Cup. And not a lot of people know about him, but I would expect him to have a good showing. Has had a ton of success the last 2.5 years, and I think he's kind of ready to show that he's a world class player who can get it done on this stage. So looking for Victor Perez to win this grouping. Mr. Fontaine?
I got Big Leash. I think it's I think kind of like you said, Joe, he's got experience in the President's Cups. He actually usually plays pretty well in those, and he's just a gritty guy. I don't know. I saw this group, and Sungjae, I agree he's probably the better player here, but his game has been a little this year, a little inconsistent. Still obviously really good, but not as good as we saw kind of last year. And Victor Perez was really close. I almost went with him just given how solid he's been on the European tour and stuff like that. But I'm going to ride with Leash in this one. I think this is one of the better groups that could really go any way. I mean, Russell Henley's not getting any love here, but he shot like 64 or something on Sunday at the Honda when tough conditions to get back into like top 5 there, maybe. I may be way off on that. I feel like he had a good Sunday to get back in the mix, but he's a really good player. Like Mike said, I think he shot 59 or 60 before on tour. Like he can go low. So I think this is a really good group compared to that first one. Yeah. And like you said, Eric had Victor Perez too. So you got that.
Yeah, I think that's a fun grouping and sort of a low key grouping, but just sneaky 4 studs there.
Yeah.
So looking for some really quality golf to be played. But moving on to the next region, we got Webb Simpson, Paul Casey, Mackenzie Hughes, and Taylor Gooch. Someone who's kind of come on the scene as of late. Last couple of years has kind of been around, but really found some footing. And nice to see him make the field of 64 here at the Dell Match Play. This grouping doesn't do a whole lot for me. Webb Simpson, Paul Casey, Mackenzie Hughes, like there's not a whole lot of interest in this one for me. I went with the guy who I think is just the premier ball striker in Paul Casey.
Yeah.
Just with the golf course and match play, he's just in every hole. You don't see him hit many bad shots. So I like Paul Casey out of this. Fontaine, who do you like?
Yeah, I got Casey too. He's just going to ball strike you to death. Like you say, he's going to be in every hole. He's going to make you press, even though you probably don't need to, but you're going to be, trying to get a crack in the armor or something going. And I just think Webb normally is similar to that, to be honest, but he just hasn't. He's been a little bit off this year as well. He's not trending quite as well as Paul Casey is right now, but been playing some really solid golf. So I'm going to ride Paul Casey on this one too. And like you said, like even as good as the golf is that, Webb and Paul Casey and even Mackenzie Hughes and Taylor Gooch, these guys can play. This group doesn't really do it for me. So far through the first three, Group 2 is definitely going to be the most fun or entertaining, I'd say. But, Joe, who you got coming out of Group 3?
Same thing. Paul Casey. Don't think we need to harp on it anymore.
Yep, Eric had him too. Let's get into Group 4 here. I got this one. This is the Ryder Cup Euro Tour. Like, this is the everybody from America looks at this group and goes, God damn it, like Ryder Cup memories and, trauma. But Terrell Hatton, Lee Westwood, Sergio, and Matt Wallace. This one, honestly, I think is another similar to Group 2 where it's just Matt Wallace hasn't been in of form of late, but like the other three guys have been really solid the last 6 months at one point or another, especially with Lee Westwood recently, obviously, and Sergio has had some good weeks in the mix as well. He shot like 7 unders on day one at the Players, where that was like unheard of. So some good golfing there. I'm going Lee Westwood in this one. I'm just going to ride the hot hand. I know he's kind of due to fall back to earth, but I can't get myself to pick Sergio Garcia, so I'll pass it on to Joey on that note.
Yeah, I'm going with Tyrell. Tyrell.
Lord Tyrell.
Tyrell. Yeah, I'm going with Tyrell. I wanted to go Westwood, but I'm not gonna ride the hot hand. He didn't. Did he even make the cut this past weekend?
He missed cut last week.
Yeah. And Sergio, he's not even a thought in my head. So yeah, we're gonna stick with Tyrell. What about you, Michael?
To flip the script here, both Eric and I went with Sergio Garcia to win this grouping. Sergio's been living in the Austin area off and on for quite a while now. His wife played golf at the University of Texas. Really, sponsors an AJGA tournament in Austin. Kind of become kind of a local in the area and kind of a fan favorite. I know he's not a fan favorite of many out there, but I would expect him to. It's a little bit of a home game for him, and like Matt said, played really well the first couple rounds at the Players. Won in Mississippi earlier this year too. Has kind of found some form after struggling the last couple of years. I expect him to play well this week and kind of parlay that into an early 40s kind of, a year to remember. I think Sergio's game is trending, as much as you guys may not like to hear that. But next grouping, we got DeChambeau, Tommy Fleetwood, Siwoo Kim, and Andres Rosner from France, I believe. So an interesting grouping here. I went with Siwoo Kim. I like DeChambeau this week. I just think the golf course is unique enough, and anybody can kind of hit it long out there. There's some big slopes and things that kind of carry your ball. I'm not sure just DeChambeau hitting second into every single green makes him the favorite. Like, yeah, it's nice to see, like, hey, can I just put it in the middle of the green and make a par here, or do I have to attack the pin? But I think he gets it done if he putts well. But Siwoo Kim's had a lot of success this year and has made a lot of clutch putts. So expecting him to have some success this week and get out of this grouping. What do you think about this one, Joey?
I'm with Tommy Fleetwood. I was on the fence between him and Bryson. Bryson, he's a Texas guy himself too, isn't he?
Yeah, originally from California, but went to school in Dallas.
That's right. Yeah. So I thought, with that, I kind of had that in consideration, but I don't know. I like Tommy. Tommy is just a great guy, fun to watch, and I'd rather see him take down Bryson than Bryson take him down. So, and that was the other thing. I think when I was just going, actually, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to say that. So, we'll say that.
Eric's with you, Joey. Eric's with you with Tommy Fleetwood.
No, yeah, Tommy. Tommy's my guy for that grouping. What about who just asked me? I'm drawing a blank. Holy shit.
That's all right. I got it. I went Bryson. I don't know. As much as I want Tommy to win, I've picked him a couple of times this year, and he's severely every time. So kind of off him, even though I would love to see. I hope I'm wrong and Tommy does win because I'm a big Tommy Fleetwood fan. But I went with Bryson, and then we'll jump right into Group 6 here. This one, again, I think is a pretty good one. We got Finau, Kokrak, Zalatoris, and Fratelli. Finau, well documented. We've talked about him plenty of times. Incredible golfer, but he's got some kind of mental thing where he can't get over the hump on Sundays or whatever it may be to kind of close the door and get that second career win. And then Kokrak's been playing really solid as of late, like sneaky, just getting a bunch of top 20s. Zalatoris has been, I mean, his rise over the last year has been like insane how quickly he's gone from, Corn Ferry Tour and grinding to in WGC. So he's been playing really, really solid golf. Again, a guy that just all of a sudden he's top 20 every week, it seems like, especially in that California swing. And then for Telly, who won the John Deere, played pretty solid actually at Augusta this year, right? Or my off year maybe, but was in the mix at Augusta this year and a relatively pretty good player in his own right. I mean, I haven't watched him recently.
Went to UT in Austin as well.
UT? Okay, so home game for him. I went a little off the grid. I think I went with Kokrak this week. He's an MGM guy. He's a gambler. I feel like he's a professional poker player, like borderline professional poker player on the side. Like, I think the one-on-one battle for him, I think that's kind of where he thrives. I think he loves the match play atmosphere. And I think it will go well for him. Again, Tony Finos burned me, I don't know, 4 times this year. I think I picked him. So I'm off him right now. And even though probably proved me wrong this week, but Joey, who do you like in that group?
I wanted to go Finau, but even though I haven't picked him, I know if I do, it'll just burn me. So I didn't even bother. I actually ended up going with Zalatoris just because he's been playing, he's been playing some solid golf. So, I know so is Kokrak, and, as you just mentioned as well, for Telly, he hasn't been playing bad either, but I feel like I've heard of Zalatoris more and more as these past few weeks have gone on. So just figured I'd ride the wave with him. Mikey, What about you?
Joey, I'm on the same wave as you, as is Eric, close behind. All going with Zalatoris. Texas guy, won a U.S. Junior Am. You don't win a U.S. Junior Am without having some match play prowess. Had a good amateur career overall with some success in some U.S. amateurs as well. And kind of like Matt said, just a meteoric rise. So looking forward to him having a good week here and, maybe winning a couple matches. But let's move on to the next one. Kind of an interesting, quite a few foreigners here and then an American stalwart. Victor Hovland, Abe Ancer, Wiesberger, and Kevin Streelman. I honestly did not realize that Kevin Streelman was ranked in the top 64 in the world. I'm very surprised by that. Maybe it's just his yearly top 3 at Pebble Beach that keeps him in the top 64.
You'll say he always has 1 or 2 that he's top 5, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, forgot about him. Also, TPC River Islands plays well there. I feel like, right?
Yeah, definitely plays well at some kind of odd places, some shorter golf courses. But Eric and I both going with Victor Hovland this week. Another guy that's had quite a bit of match play success in the U.S. Amateur. I mean, the fact he's top 15 in the world right now, just someone who's really playing kind of the best golf of his entire life right now, and would expect him to compete in majors this year. And WGC Elite Field, he had some success at Concession. I think he finished 2 or 3 there. Has kind of shown that he can compete with the best in the world. So, Matt, who do you like out of this group?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with Victor. I mean, the only guy in that group I can even see really keeping up with him is Abe, and he hasn't been playing very well lately. So I don't think he's kind of got the form that he would like to have going into this. Obviously, anything can have match play, but I think Victor kind of walks with this one. Joey, what do you got?
I actually ended up going with Abe. I was gonna go with Hovland. I had him picked throughout most of my bracket, and then kind of re-going over it. I don't know, something just stuck out about Abe with me, and I've always liked watching him, and I've always liked him as a golfer, and I don't know, I just figured why not, and I respect that he plays Miura irons because he's probably about the only one on tour who has those things, and those might be some of the better looking irons out there.
He's also like self-taught too. He's got a really cool story.
Yeah,
I like he actually last year had I think it was at where was it? North Carolina. Whatever. Right after the Masters that Webb ended up winning, RBC.
Mm-hmm.
He hit like 70 greens that week and lost still because he putted so bad. But like ball striking clinic, self-taught swing, no coach, anything like that. So like I'm a big fan of Abe. He just doesn't have the form recently for me to pick him. But He's an easy guy to root for.
Those tequila hats too are flames.
I was just gonna say he's got his own tequila.
I respect that.
Yeah. So I'm an Abe guy. Hopefully he pulls through for me here.
Yeah, and we'll go with Group 8 here. We're almost halfway done, so bear with us. Colin Morikawa, Billy Horschel, Max Homa, JT Poston. First 3 guys in there, a lot of form as of late, quite a bit of success. JT Poston sneaking into the field. Guy that's won on tour in the past and quite a character in his own right. But Matt, who do you like out of this one? This one doesn't do a whole lot for me as well. I mean, expect some good golf to be played, but kind of seems like more characters than anything else.
Yeah. I would say this has the best social media personalities in it, right? Like with Max and Colin Morikawa's in a bunch of commercials and all that stuff now, and Billy Horschel's known pretty well like for his social interactions and whatnot too. He's the Gator Chomp guy, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going Morikawa. I think he's so good. So I got nothing else there. I mean, as long as he doesn't putt horrifically, as long as he putts halfway decent, I think he'll be fine getting through these guys just the way he strikes the ball. Joey, what do you got?
Oh, Max. Homa. I didn't really have any reasoning. It was between him and Colin, and I kind of just, I don't know. Like Colin, I just can't really putt. Max obviously just kind of coming off a win, so it might be tough for him to really continue to battle on through this. But I think he comes out victorious in that group. Michael?
Yeah, we're split right down the middle. I went with Morikawa, and then I'm relaying Eric's pick here of Max Homa. So 2-2 for the staff. I think Billy Horschel could cause some problems here if he gets the flat stick going a little bit. One of the worst putting setups in the history of the world with how open and how staggered his feet are. But he makes putts and he's fiery and kind of like the U.S. version of Ian Poulter, outside of the fact that he really hasn't played on a Ryder Cup team.
Yeah, same vibe though. I see what you're saying though. Like same atmosphere, vibe, lunatic. Yeah, demeanor. Yeah, but yeah, it just doesn't have the actual game to get on the Ryder Cups. What we got next? Group 9, is it? This JT's group?
Yep.
So we got JT, Louis Oosthuizen, Kevin Kisner, Matt Kuchar. This is, I think, a really, 4 studs here. I mean, Kisner, we talked earlier about his success here, defending champ, finals the year before. Just something about match play for him gets him going. JT, obviously, coming off a win. Louis Oosthuizen, stud. I mean, he's a ball-striking machine. And Matt Kuchar, I mean, I think he lost the kids last year or not last year, obviously got skipped, but the year before in the finals. So I think this group will be a fun one to watch just because as good as JT is, I mean, he can't really sacrifice too much in this one. I think he's going to have to earn his wins here. Nobody's going to hand him any with these quality players, but I'm still riding with him. I think he's got a different gear if he wants to go there. It's just a matter if he has it or not, but I'm going to ride with JT. Mike, who you got on this one?
Yeah, and I'll give Eric's pick. Eric's going to JT as well. I'm going Kevin Kisner here. I think, past champion. I just struggle. Justin Thomas obviously played great players and got it done there, but I think his eyes are. I think he's set on Augusta this year. So I think it'll be tough. Being a match play event, I think he's out here. He's going to try to have some fun. He's going to try to keep those creative juices going. But, but I just think Kevin Kisner's had a lot of success in this event and on this golf course, and kind of could give him some trouble. And JT, as fiery as he is, he has a tendency to get a little frustrated out there. And I think if he pushes it a little too much and gets behind early in a match against someone like Kisner or Kuchar or even Oosthuizen and kind of overextends himself a little bit, he could lose a couple holes on his own accord. So going with Kevin Kisner here, and though I do I would love to see a Justin Thomas Jordan Spieth matchup in the second round. Going with Kiz here. Joey?
Kiz.
Match
play, Kiz. You heard it.
Roll that rock, baby.
The
ultimate equalizer.
Exactly. I agree, though. I would love to see a nice JT and Jordan Spieth match, but I mean, I'll lead us right into the next one. I mean, we got Spieth, Fitzpatrick, Wolf, and Connors. I'm going with Spieth. So, I mean, I would love to see a nice Spieth and Kisner match anyway. So,
is Matt Wolf? I mean, I know he had a really good year last year, but is he in the worst form of anybody on for a top 25 player in the world right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Very
He's,
curious to see how he plays this
the
weekend.
guy, he is searching right now.
Yeah.
And I get it. He's 21, right? And he had such crazy success.
Yeah, he'll be fine, but right now it's not good.
No. So, I think golf's a better place when he's making birdies and he's kind of all over the place. And you think he's a fun guy to listen to. And just being so young, you get a unique perspective from him, especially when you put him in these big time moments. But has really been struggling. I'm going with Spieth though. Fontaine, who do you like?
Ryan Spieth train too. It's just so personal. Like I just want to see it. I want to watch that chaos and have to see somebody have to like hit a fairway, hit a green, and two putt and make the most routine part of their life. And Jordan to beat him after hitting it like 100 yards offline off the tee, and then hitting something like around the green and chipping in or some shit like that. Because that's the kind of golf Jordan plays, and the more I get to see that, the better. So I'm riding the Jordan train. Honestly, a lot of the guys in here, Wolf, like you said, really bad form, but Fitzpatrick's been playing well, and Corey Connors, we talked about last week, playing super well. That's who Eric went with. Like he's riding the hot hand there. Corey Connors has been striking the shit out of the ball the last month, so he'll be tough to beat. But I'm rooting for Jordan just because I personal as a consumer, I want to watch Jordan as much as possible. Group 11 here, we'll keep rolling. Cantlay, Matsuyama, Carlos Ortiz, and Brian Harmon. I didn't realize Brian Harmon was this high in the rankings, so I feel like he's been quiet.
Third at Players helped him out.
Yeah, besides that, I feel like I haven't heard him in a long time. But this one doesn't do a whole lot for me. I just went Cantlay. He's just a better player. Matsuyama's arguably the worst putter on the planet. If you look back at his like strokes gained putting stats over the last like year and a half, it's like almost not real life how bad they are. Like he's losing like 4 or 5 shots a round and shooting like even par. It's like it's bad, but I just think Cantlay is the best player in here, and that's really all I got to say about that one. So I went with Cantlay. Let's see what Eric got. Eric went with Ortiz in this one, so I think Ortiz played pretty well at the Players. Actually, I might be getting confused, but I think he played pretty well.
I actually went with Ortiz as well. He had a really good stretch. Won Houston back in the fall. Almost won Torrey Pines before, Patrick Reed and all that ensued. Just a guy that kind of doesn't like hit great golf shots all the time, but just like finds a way to get it up and down, makes a ton of putts inside 10 feet. Might be the worst bunker player I've ever seen in a professional golfer. Go back and search his bunker play in the final round of the Torrey Pines. He was in like 8 bunkers and didn't get it up and down 7 times. He's a pro golfer, and he was like, I don't know what percentage that is. God, I can't do math. 12.5%.
Yeah, it's like 13%.
Terrible. You can like chunk and run it out and get 3 up and down.
Yeah, because he's gonna make anything inside 15 feet.
Yeah, so I think as long as he keeps on the earth out there and gives himself some opportunities, he's definitely moved up my list of fun people to watch. And he actually plays a lot like Spieth, just like you don't really know where it's going, kind of just like grinds it out. So he's kind of, he's the Mexican version of Spieth right now. So, Joey, did you give us your pick there?
No, I'm going with Cantlay though.
Okay.
Right, going with Cantlay. I think he's just the most solid player out of that whole group. Obviously, yeah, Ortiz has been playing pretty good. Matsuyama's Matsuyama, but yeah, I just think Cantlay's the smartest pick out of those 4.
All right, and kind of finishing up that region there, we got a grouping of Patrick Reed, Joaquin Niemann, Christian Beheza Hoot,
Eric Sky,
and then Bubba Watson. Kind of, two of the more hated people on the PGA Tour, and Patrick Reed and Bubba Watson. I think I've come out and said that Bubba Watson is my least favorite player on tour.
Bubba's grown on me. I don't mind Bubba anymore.
He's at least quieter now. I don't know. He doesn't make a scene anymore.
Not so much of a douche. Caleb, on the other hand,
Douche.
Can't stand that kid.
Get that little bet. You get that little kid out of here.
This group, who do you like, Fontaine?
I can't not pick Reed in this group. I feel like his game is very match play-esque. Clearly his Ryder Cup, success and Mr. America, Captain America, all that nonsense. Like, he just, especially the way he chips and putts the ball, you can never count him out of a hole. Even if he misses a green, you can't go to the middle of the green because you're just going to have the hole. He's going to get up and down almost every time. So I'm just going with him because he's going to, by not even cheating, piss people off out there with the way his golf game is, of kind of hits it like shit sometimes. And I mean, to PGA Tour level, obviously peppers it, but hits it kind of all over the place, and just that short game is going to piss people off when he's saving par when he shouldn't. And he's also going to make a ton of birdies because, like you said, drivable holes all around there. He's going to be up and around the green sooner than normal for him, and he's going to be able to, I think, do a lot with that. So I'm going with Reed there, even though, Joakim Niemann's been playing pretty solid, and Eric Sky, had a very good showing at, the Players that he picked him. They got a lot of hate at, but I just don't see Reed losing that. I think he's too good of a player with the short game and bothering people the way he does it, and all that kind of mental back and forth of match play. I think he's too good at that stuff. So that's who I went with. I don't know, Joey, Mike, who you guys went with, but
Patrick.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Eric went with Reed as well, so you guys are all aligned there. I went with Joaquin Niemann. Guys played well at Honda. In and out, one of the more consistent guys on the PGA Tour. Young guy, kind of ready to break through. One win at the Greenbrier a couple of years ago. I think the PGA Tour screws Reed one day and sets up pins on the right edge all day long, and he can't hit his draw when he plays Joaquin Niemann. They both finished 2-1 in the league.
Got the head-to-head,
and Niemann has the head-to-head. So some might call it fantastical, but I'm saying that's what's going to happen. And if I get a prop on a two people finishing 2-1 here and Niemann having the head-to-head, give me that line. Let's move on to kind of the lower, right bracket here. We got the X-Men, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, two similar names. Don't get them confused. Jason Day, guy who's had some success here in the past, won two WGC match plays, the second of which was here in 2016, I believe, the first time they played this golf course. And Andy Sullivan, Englishman, who really kind of, the fact that he's in this field kind of makes me, question the world golf rankings. He hasn't had a whole lot of success as of late. Definitely someone who's bolstered by some top finishes on the European Tour and doesn't stray too far from, the European Tour at all. We don't see him quite as much on the European Tour as I would expect for a top 60 player in the world. But went with the hometown kid here. Scotty Scheffler spent four full years at University of Texas. I would expect him to have played this golf course a bunch of friends and family in the area. And Xander Schauffele, though, he's always been playing solid. I don't think his game is great right now, at least from a Xander Schauffele standpoint. So expect Scheffler to get it done. I even got confused on the two names there. So Fontaine, who do you like?
Scheffler too. I just think, like you said, Xander isn't at his best right now for whatever reason, and Scotty Scheffler I think he's been playing pretty solid as of late, and also just the fact that he's, like I said, hometown kid and whatnot. Eric went with him too. I think unless Xander kind of snaps out of it, I think he kind of walks with this group. Jason Day has been hurt and everything else he's been real bad the last 4 or 5 months. So as much as I kind of love rooting for Jason Day, he's not in form either. And then you said like Andy Sullivan, I don't even know. But so I'm going with Scotty Scheffler. I think it's pretty easy for him here unless Xander wants to show up and compete.
Agreed. Scheffler, same thing. If the X-Man wants to show, by all means. I mean, I feel like this could actually be a somewhat interesting group to watch if, Scheffler and Jason can actually, or Schauffele and Jason can show up to play as well as Scheffler. But gonna ride their way. Gonna stick with Scotty.
Yeah, I agree. I think that could be a really fun matchup. Hopefully we get them like in the third matchup and it really matters. at the end. I think that could be a lot of fun. But moving on to another interesting group, we got Rory McIlroy, who's fallen all the way to 12, 13 in the world right now.
Yeah.
Cameron Smith, guy from Australia that's had a lot of success. Lanto Griffin and Ian Poulter, guy that's been the premier match play player, at the Ryder Cup for going on a decade and a half now. So interesting group. I think Rory gets it done here. I think just too much overall talent. I know there's some rumblings of a new swing coach. I don't expect that to play too much in here. I think he figures it out just enough. And then a bracket style thing like this, I think he gains a little momentum. Maybe he doesn't play his greatest against Lanto Griffin or Ian Poulter, but you don't need your best, right?
Yeah.
He can beat either of those guys with his C game. So build a little momentum, figure it out. A guy that has won the match play before, and I would expect him to get out of this bracket. Matt, who do you like?
I actually went Cam Smith here. Rory switched putters again yesterday, and that swing coaches confirmed he did switch swing coaches. So he just got a lot going on, and I think for him at this stage in his career, he's just a major guy. That's all he's really got to care about. I mean, I know you're always working and striving and like working on your game and getting better. But for him, like he's doing those things right now because the Masters is in less than a month. So I think it's going to be like almost sacrificial the next few weeks to just get the reps in with he's switching putters every week, it seems like now, but get the reps in, work with the coach, work stuff out, see it in competition to try and peak for Augusta. So I don't think, as like I said, his talent is obviously way above almost anybody on tour, but I just don't think he's overall like really focused on winning this WGC. So I think I'm going to go with Cam Smith. He's just a gritty guy. He plays well on hard golf courses. He's a solid putter. Like he just weird golf swing, but he just finds a way to get it done. And I think that kind of like that attitude, and he played well in the President's Cup last year too, or 2 years ago, whenever that was out in Australia. So I think he's just kind of a match play kind of guy. And I think he'll be able to get the job done here. I don't think Poulter's going to be able to get up against his fellow, Ryder Cup teammate, or, I think he can only get to that mode when he's going against the United States for whatever reason. So I just don't think he's going to have that firepower in him against Lanto Griffin. I don't think it's going to, I just don't think he's going to be able to get to that freak match play savant that he is when he's in Ryder Cups. As much as I can't stand it, that's what he is. I just don't think he gets there this week mentally. I just don't think it's getting the juices flowing for him. But
speaking of Lanto Griffin, that's my early pick for next week, Valero Texas Open.
Okay.
Mark it down now. The guy is sponsored by he's sponsored by Dormy Club Network. They have a course in the area, Briggs Ranch, not super close to TPC San Antonio, but good vibes. His boys at Dormy Network are going to set him up with a sweet spot for the week. He's going to be working on his game. Early pick for the Valero Texas Open. Mark it down. Get a line now. I don't even know if he's playing, but if he's not, get in his ear. Tell him he's got to play because the vibes are good down there. Joey, who do you like in this grouping?
I also went with Cam.
Eric did too.
Yeah, Rory just going through a lot right now, and I think Fontaine hit it on the head with that one. I think you're a little nuts. Actually, I'm not going to say you're nuts for going with him because it is Rory McIlroy at the end of the day,
He could also pull a 180 and tell us all, be like a big fuck you to everybody and just win easily, this week, everything, and just go off. It's just he hasn't shown up late. I mean, I don't know. It's he can flip that switch. You never know when, and I don't know if it's
exactly. But yeah, no, Cam Smith.
We'll go to we got two more groupings here. In my opinion, the two least inspiring groupings in the entire bracket. First one being Daniel Berger, Harris English, Brendan Todd, Evan Van Rooyen. The most inspiring part of this entire grouping is the joggers that Van Rooyen's going to wear.
That's my pick. That's exactly why. I don't care about anybody else in this group. I'm going for him because I remember him wearing joggers. The rest of the group, nobody cares. I don't know.
Talk about a wild scenario. A South African who went to the University of Minnesota, is like an unbelievable guitarist wearing joggers as a professional golfer. Just an absolutely wild human being, just as a whole. But dresses really well and is a lot of fun to watch. The ball sounds a little different coming off his club. Guy's got some speed.
Yeah,
But I like that pick. Joggers is a great choice. I went with Brendan Todd. So did Eric. I'm just a little uninspired by the way Berger's been hurt. Harris English struggling. I don't think Van Ruin's really a WGC caliber player quite yet. So going with Brendan Todd, expecting him to just do enough, shoot a few under each day, and really he's not going to do anything stupid out there. I think he probably hits 12 fairways and 15 greens or 14 greens, and might not hit one inside 20 feet all week long, but I'd expect him to get out of this uninspiring grouping. Joey, what do you think?
I picked Berger. I don't know. Kind of
yeah, that sums up that group pretty well.
Berger whiffed one year on 18. Berger whiffed. He was lined up.
I remember that.
Yeah, he was against a rock and on the 18th hole, and the way his swing works, he was just so freaking shallow on the way back. He hit the rock.
Yeah.
And he whiffed, and then he WD just walked up.
I remember that actually. That's funny. But
uninspiring group. Let's finish off here. The last grouping here: John Rahm, Ryan Palmer, Shane Lowry, and Sebastian Munoz. I say uninspiring, but this has the makings to spin you on your head a little bit. I think everyone here is, I wouldn't say they're playing great by any means, but they've shown glimpses in the past of some really good golf. John Rahm obviously is an elite player, top 5 player in the world. His partner at Zurich Classic, Ryan Palmer, sneaky top 30 player in the world. I did not realize that he was probably 25th or 26th in the world.
Sneaks up there.
I think we'll probably have to put a disclaimer in the fact that you get full FedEx Cup points and full World Golf ranking points for winning a 2-person team event at Zurich, which is ridiculous in my opinion. You also get a 2-year full exemption for, playing with the top 5 player in the world. Wild.
That's why Brooks plays with his brother, right? Trying to drag his brother along.
Exactly.
Imagine.
Well, and that's all the European players. They'll play Ian Poulter played with Sam Horsfield, who's a young kid, but it's God forbid they catch fire that week, and now you're
exempt, set for life.
Your mentee's got 2 years on tour. Lowry played decent for a little, played decent at the Players, played decent at Honda for a couple rounds. Munoz had a good start to the year, but really has faded very quickly. Just struggled in Hawaii and really hasn't been able to get back. I went with Ryan Palmer here in this grouping. I think John Rahm could easily just wipe the floor with everyone here, but I haven't loved the way he's been playing as of late. I think there's something a little bit off in his game. Still an elite player who, if he comes to play with his, A or B game, probably gets out of this grouping. But I think Ryan Palmer brings it and has some fun and makes a lot of birdies here.
I went with Rahm. Eric did too. I just think he's kind of due. He's been kind of messing around here and there, showing glimpses, kind of sneaking back up in the top 20 and kind of finding a little piece here and there along the way. So I'm going to ride with Rahm. I think he's just, if he brings it even a little bit here for the first 9 holes of any of these matches, he's going to put his competitors in a tough spot where they're going to have to start chasing and trying to make birdies and kind of get in their own way. I went with Rahm. I just think he's the best player in that group by quite a bit if he has any sort of form. Joey, who you got?
Yeah, I'm staying with Rahm as well. Same thing. I think he just, the more solid of the players out of all the out of that group. So,
well, with Joey not being able to speak, we're coming up on the end here, and I think we've done quite a bit of analysis across the entire board, but why don't we just kind of go around and say who's kind of our Final Four team? Not Final Four teams, but Final Four players. and who's your championship match and who's your eventual winner. Joey, enlighten us.
Yeah, I'm looks like my final four ends up with DJ versus Fleetwood, and then I got Kisner versus Scheffler. So championship match, I got Kisner and DJ, and I got my boy Kiz going back.
Wow, Kiz taking down DJ.
Back to back.
I love that.
I just, when it comes to match play, Kevin Kisner doesn't mess around. Like, dude just knows how to roll the rock. He'll grind out his pars and, he'll get to it.
Ain't a hobby.
Exactly. It ain't no hobby, but I'm hoping if I get to, watch a match, I really want to see Kisner versus Spieth. I think those two would be really fun to watch battle it out. If not, Kisner versus Spieth, and Reed versus Spieth. I think that would be a really nice, fun matchup to watch as well. So hopefully we can get one of those pairings or matches going forward. What about you, Matt? Who's your final four?
My final four is DJ, Hovland, Rahm, and I got JT in there too. I just think that it's really just hard to pick against any of those guys more than anything right now. And DJ, especially DJ, I mean, I just feel like he's unchallenged unless, maybe he just won't care enough, and I could be way off this week, but that's just who I'm going with. And then I got DJ beating Hovland and Rahm beating JT, and then Rahm beating DJ in the finals. I think Rahm's he's been very quiet the last year or so, and I think he's due to kind of be like, hey, by the way, since the Memorial, he hasn't really done a whole lot, I don't think. So I think he's kind of due to pop back in and be like, hey, just to remind you guys, I'm here too, even though I switched shirts and they don't fit me and I sweat in them and I kind of look terrible in them. I'm here to play some golf. But I got Rahm winning, and then, just run through Eric's real quick. He's got his final four, looks like it's Casey, Hovland, Reed, and Cam Smith. And then he's got Hovland over Cam Smith in the finals. And I think obviously Hovland, I think I had in my final four, and we said some good things about him. We're doing some analysis, but Reed, Smith, and Casey, we talked a lot about how those guys are going to play well this week. So I think Eric's got a good final four there, and I'd love to see Hovland win this thing. I think it'd be awesome for him to kind of get a WGC under the belt and get off that. What did he win after Puerto Rico? The Mexico one, Claire's, whatever. But
Mayakoba.
Get Mayakoba. Just get a big name event, he always kind of plays well in them, a lot of top tens and whatnot, but love to see him kind of get over the hump and get one of those real premier tour events under his belt. So I'm all in for the Hovland train if that's what it may be.
Yeah, and before I kind of get to my picks, I think you bring up a unique matchup. If we can get another Rahm DJ matchup similar to the BMW this year at Olympia Fields,
right?
We really only got it for that one match play hole, but that was an electric match. That was an electric extra hole, right?
Yeah.
With those
the 60-footer he made,
the putts on 18, and then to win, the putt to win, if we can get that matchup, and I think too, we haven't had in the past, we haven't had two top players make it all the way to the finals. So I think it would be fun to get two of kind of golf's premier players and watch them play and go head to head for 18 holes. I think something that we haven't really had an opportunity to do. And Ryder Cup is just different because, there's so many matches out there. It's just difficult to follow along directly with every single thing that's going on.
Right.
But really that last day, right, when they play 36, there's four people on the course all day long, right? You have the semifinals matches, then the finals matches, and the final match and the consolation. So you get to see every shot, and there's quite a bit of flow, and you get a little bit of insight in between as well. So I think that could be a lot of fun. Two personalities that are way different, right? How fiery Rahm gets, and how cool and calm DJ is. So definitely could lend itself to a unique story, and probably parlay into a matchup that could likely be at Augusta or at some of the future majors this year. But I think similar to you and Eric, Matt, I like Victor Hovland making it to the Final Four. I have him matched up against Sergio Garcia, your guys. So I don't know, Joey. I don't know what you said there, but it wasn't nice. And then on the other side of the bracket, I have Carlos Ortiz, who I think finds a way to kind of get it done. I think an issue for him would be if JT, if JT makes it out of that region, or if Reed were to make it, they'd have to play in the second round. But I think a couple things fall in his direction and give him a little bit easier way, and he finds a little momentum to get to the Final Four, and he's going to be playing Rory McIlroy there. I think Rory builds some momentum, figures something out, and then kind of struggles against Ortiz in that Final Four, and Ortiz makes the finals. And I got Sergio beating Victor Hovland and kind of riding that wave to a championship here at the WGC. And I think it's important to note in the consolation, Victor Hovland absolutely terrorizes Rory McIlroy, because Rory McIlroy has no desire to be in there after he's lost his Final Four matchup. He's just ready to go home. He might honestly withdraw. I don't think he would, but I think Victor Hovland terrorizes him in that consolation bracket and picks up that extra. They're probably playing for like an extra $750K, which means nothing to Rory.
Yeah. I got Victor beating JT for the same reasons in my consolation match. JT is not going to care about the fourth or third place. He'll lay down and let the young kid catch a check. He's made plenty of money the last 5 years.
Yeah,
literally last week.
As much as I don't want to see Sergio get it done, I think Sergio. There's something about the way he's been playing and trending in the right direction, the way he played at Players and kind of being a hometown game. That's where I'm going. So, for those listening to this podcast, send us some hate in the DMs and let us know how much you hate Sergio Garcia. But if you're smart, put some money on him and see what happens.
I might DM our own account and be like, "Fuck Sergio." But, I hope with everything in my being that you're incredibly polar oppositely wrong this week. If he's in the Final Four, I won't watch. That's about where that's how extreme the hate is for Sergio Garcia.
Yeah, but looking forward to a fun week, and hopefully in the near future we take a trip to Austin and get out there on the grounds of the WGC. I think it would be a fun event for us to all get out there. Boys, good seeing you. Maybe next. I know we're doing a couple different episodes this week, so we're going to see each other soon. Cheers.
Cheers.